I'm wherever the camera is. You know, if I'm shooting this young lady who's sitting right here with the glasses right there, and we're putting the camera right here, I'm right here.
Well, I don't know why I came here tonight.
Audiences worldwide were first introduced to Quentin Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs. Let me see if he's on the line, but it was Pulp Fiction that won him an Oscar.
What's a movie you want to see?
Few filmmakers in modern cinema wield influence quite like Quentin Tarantino. He's a director, yes, but also a screenwriter, curator, historian, cinephile, and provocateur. What sets him apart from his contemporaries isn't just his inimitable style, the saturated violence, the music cues plucked from dusty vinyl crates, the intoxicating swirl of homage and invention, but the rare reverence he holds for actors.
You know, there's all kinds of scenes that I respond to in movies. I respond to music sequences. I respond to big comedy sequences. It was like they galvanized the entire theater.
To watch a Tarantino film is to witness performance elevated to spectacle. To hear him talk about actors is to hear a man in the throes of lifelong fandom. Tarantino doesn't simply admire actors, he obsesses over them. He writes for them, he revives them, and in many cases, he immortalizes them. Over 3 decades, he's built his cinematic world not just around genre or narrative, but around the faces, voices, and peculiar rhythms of a specific group of performers he cherishes. As he once told Empire, "I'm not just a director, I'm an actor groupie. I write for actors. I want them to show off, to strut, to explode."
If you had to do it, then you had to do it, bro. What we don't want is that bitch surviving on us. Anybody but that woman.
No name recurs more frequently in the Tarantino lexicon than that of Samuel L. Jackson. The actor-director pairing is among the most fruitful of the past half-century, reminiscent of Scorsese and De Niro, or Fellini and Mastroianni. Jackson's performances in Tarantino's films, ranging from the philosophical killer Jules Winfield to the venomous Stephen in Django Unchained and the scheming Major Marquis Warren in The Hateful Eight, demonstrate his remarkable range and his instinctive grasp of Tarantino's dialogue.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brother.
Sam is my De Niro, Tarantino once said. He's not just great, he becomes the movie. He embodies it. When he walks on screen, everything shifts. Jackson, for his part, relishes the collaboration. "There's a rhythm to what Quentin writes," he said in an interview with GQ. "If you get it, it's like jazz. You've just got to ride it." Tarantino gives Jackson room to breathe, to monologue, to terrify and seduce in the same breath. That symbiosis has made Jackson the director's most enduring muse, a figure of menace, wit and gravitas who anchors even the most chaotic of Tarantino's cinematic symphonies.
Choice between doing 10 years, taking out some stupid motherfucker. Ain't no choice at all.
Harvey Keitel's association with Tarantino began with Reservoir Dogs, a film that may not have seen the light of day without Keitel's early support. In the early 90s, Keitel was something of a fading star, having drifted from the limelight after his 70s heyday. Yet Tarantino saw in him not just credibility, but raw power. "Harvey believed in me before anyone else did," Tarantino told The Guardian. "He gave me legitimacy." Keitel's portrayal of Mr. White, the most grounded of the Diamond Thieves, gave Reservoir Dogs a sense of moral conflict and tragic depth. And in Pulp Fiction, Keitel returned as Winston Wolfe, the deadpan cleaner, who brings comic cool to the aftermath of accidental murder. There's something deeply old school about Keitel's presence, a hangover from 70s New York realism, and Tarantino clearly relishes using him as a sort of elder statesman in his rogues gallery.
I must warn you, young lady, I am susceptible to flattery.
One of Tarantino's most heartfelt tributes was reserved for Michael Parks, a journeyman actor whose name would be unfamiliar to casual filmgoers, but whose impact on Tarantino's oeuvre is quietly significant. Parks, who appeared in both Kill Bill and From Dusk Till Dawn, had a presence that straddled authority and mystery. "He's one of the greatest actors I've ever worked with," Tarantino told IndieWire. "He could do anything. He had this weight, this presence, you just felt like he'd lived 100 lives." Tarantino, ever the archivist, often unearths actors from the margins of cinema history and gives them fresh meaning. Parks became a totem in this cinematic constellation, recurring as Sheriff Earl McGraw across multiple films, always inscrutable, always compelling. Among Tarantino's more recent actor infatuations is Chris Pine, an unexpected inclusion for those who see Pine primarily as a blockbuster frontman. But in David Mackenzie's Hell or High Water, Pine delivered a performance of surprising restraint and pathos, one that caught Tarantino's attention in a big way. "Chris Pine is hands down my favorite actor of his generation," he told The Ringer. "That guy is a movie star in the classic sense. He can act, he's got charisma, and he's got that old school thing. You can't take your eyes off him." Pine may never star in a Tarantino film. The director has said he intends to stop after his 10th feature. But his admiration reveals a lot about Tarantino's evolving taste. He's still drawn to charisma, to movie stars, but ones who know when to hold back, when to let the scene breathe. If there's one actor whose style mirrors the operatic excesses of Tarantino's films, it's Nicolas Cage. Long derided by some for his flamboyant acting choices, Cage has found a passionate champion in Tarantino. "Nicolas Cage is a genius," Tarantino said on a 2021 podcast. "When he commits to a role, it's like watching a force of nature. I don't think we've even begun to appreciate how brilliant he is." Cage's performances, wild, unpredictable, yet oddly controlled, strike a chord with Tarantino's philosophy of cinema. Both men believe in maximalism, in pushing emotion to its limit, in breaking the rules with style. Tarantino has never directed Cage, but the admiration runs deep. The pairing seems inevitable, or at least cosmically appropriate. It would be a marriage of madness and method, two artists utterly uninterested in moderation.
Borrow money all over this neighborhood, left and right, from everybody, and I never paid them back, so I can't borrow no money from nobody no more, right?
Tarantino's reverence for De Niro is profound, but also complicated. He is acutely aware that the De Niro of Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, and Raging Bull was a singular force in American acting, a performer of staggering power and volatility. The Robert De Niro of those films, that's the greatest actor in the world, Tarantino told Charlie Rose. He was dangerous. You didn't know what he was going to do next. When Tarantino cast De Niro in Jackie Brown, it wasn't to relive past glories. Instead, he gave him the role of Louis Gara, a soft-spoken, lethargic criminal more interested in smoking joints than pulling off heists. It was a subversive bit of casting, one that showed De Niro's range while slyly commenting on his own mythology. For Tarantino, even legends must evolve. Of all Tarantino's resurrections, perhaps none is more joyous than that of Pam Grier. The undisputed queen of 70s blaxploitation cinema, Grier had been relegated to the sidelines by the 90s. Then came Jackie Brown, a film written specifically for her, adapted from Elmore Leonard's novel Rum Punch, but reshaped to suit her presence. "I wanted to write something for Pam that honored her legacy, but also gave her something new," Tarantino said. "She's a queen. She deserved her own movie." Grier's performance is layered, vulnerable, knowing. She navigates the male-dominated criminal world with intelligence and quiet ferocity. It's a role that redefined her in the public eye, not just a genre icon, but a genuine dramatic actress. Kurt Russell, long associated with John Carpenter's cult action films, found new life under Tarantino. In Death Proof, The Hateful Eight, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Russell delivered performances that mixed machismo with menace, charm with cruelty. Kurt can be charming and terrifying in the same breath, Tarantino told Esquire. That's gold to a director. Russell's casting is often nostalgic. Tarantino clearly grew up watching him, but it's never lazy. He uses Russell as a kind of time capsule, bringing the physicality and cynicism of 80s action cinema into the modern idiom.
Well, we'll be leaving a little earlier. We're gonna be dropped into France dressed as civilians. And once we're in enemy territory...
Brad Pitt's late career renaissance owes much to his collaborations with directors who understand his quiet magnetism. Tarantino is one of them. As Lieutenant Aldo Raine in Inglourious Basterds and stuntman Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pitt proved that he could command a scene without saying much at all. Brad has that Steve McQueen thing, Tarantino told Deadline. He doesn't have to say much, he just is. That's incredibly rare. Pitt won an Oscar for Hollywood, but Tarantino had seen it all along. He knows how to frame Pitt, how to let his stillness speak louder than words. It's a marriage of tone and temperament, a director who loves movie stars, and a movie star who trusts the director.
I'm making this bitch rich. She didn't have to do jack shit. She never even had to meet these people. I was doing all the work.
Tim Roth may be the most versatile actor in Tarantino's repertory company. From his undercover cop in Reservoir Dogs to his exaggerated Englishman in Pulp Fiction and his role as the obsequious hangman in The Hateful Eight, Roth brings elasticity to every part. Tim's an actor who brings a kind of raw intelligence to every role, Tarantino observed. He can be charming, creepy, hilarious, all in the same scene. Roth has described working with Tarantino as a pleasure and a challenge. It's all in the writing, he told The Independent. You don't have to invent anything. It's already there. Your job is to bring it to life. And bring it to life he does, often with sleazy glee. What unites this eclectic roster of favorites? It's not fame or style or box office draw. It's commitment. Tarantino loves actors who commit to a line, to a look, to a moment. He's not interested in aloofness or minimalism. He wants heat. He wants fire. When an actor is really cooking, he once mused at an AFI symposium, it's like watching a goddamn miracle. These are the actors who gave him that miracle, and in return, Tarantino gave them immortality. Not in the traditional sense, but in the fiercely specific world he's built over 9 films and counting. In this world, dialogue is an art form, violence is choreography, and performance is everything. For Quentin Tarantino, there is no cinema without actors. And for the actors he reveres, there is no higher compliment than being cast, not just in a Tarantino film, but in his imagination, where character lives long after the credits roll.